Today, I'm going to be walking you through exactly what it takes to rank higher in Google as a local service business, and we're going to use this actual business right here as an example. And to do this, we're going to use the SEO chain model. This is a model I developed to help local service businesses identify what's going to make the biggest difference in terms of their ranking in Google. So as you can see here, there are 8 ranking factors that determine how you rank in Google. Now, I can hear all the SEOs saying, TJ, there are way more than 8 ranking factors. And sure, there are. But if you're a local service business, these are the 8 that really matter. And the reason that it's a chain is because our goal is to identify the weakest link. It's not good enough to just be really good at 1 or 2 of these links. It all comes down to the weakest link. So we'll be using this tier list here to evaluate blue bin dumpsters on the 8 factors so we can determine which one is their weakest link. My hope is that you can follow along and do the same for your business. The idea is once you've identified your weakest link, you should only focus on that until it's no longer your weakest link. So I didn't pick blue bin dumpsters completely at random. Bailey here left a comment on my last YouTube video asking me to audit his website, and I'm still taking requests. I'd like to do more of these audit videos. So if you don't mind your business being featured and you would like me to do an audit of your website, please leave a comment below and let me know. All right, so we are going to go through Bluebin's website, but the first place I'd like to start with every business is their Google business profile. And that's because this is both the easiest place to make optimizations and the place that tends to have the biggest short-term impact. So you can usually get a few jumps in ranking just by making some quick couple-second changes to your Google business profile. Now, Bailey over at Blue Bin Dumpsters has done something really smart. He's created a Google business profile, not just for his shop where he rents dumpsters, but also for his office. This is completely legitimate. You're allowed to have a Google business profile at any location that serves customers, whether that means customers coming to you or you going to them. So if you have more than one location, give them both a Google business profile. Now, what's the advantage of having 2 Google business profiles? Well, as you'll see in a little bit, you tend to rank much better near your location. So if you have 2 locations, that's 2 points from which you can rank very well. Now, other than the location of each Google business profile, the most important factor by a lot is the title of your Google business profile. I mean that if you have terms in your title that are similar to what someone would search for when they're looking for a company like yours, you will rank higher for those terms. Now, this is something that Google is trying to fix. So it doesn't work as well as it used to, but it still does help a lot. And so Bailey does have dumpsters in his title, which is definitely helping him. But if he had dumpster rentals, which you'll see some of his competitors do, he would rank higher. So Bailey, I would recommend just changing the title of your Google Business Profile to Blue Bin Dumpster Rentals. This technically breaks Google's terms of service, but we've changed the names of thousands of Google Business Profiles, and I've never seen a listing get suspended. So it is possible. I've heard rumors, but in my experience, it's very safe, especially if the name you're changing it to sounds like it could be your business name. The next most important factor on your Google Business Profile is going to be your primary category. Now, you only get one primary category, and Bailey's already in the best one, dumpster rental service. Then you can also add additional secondary categories, which he has done on one of the 2 locations. I recommend only adding secondary categories that are actually relevant to your business. These can also help with rankings. However, there is some evidence that if you specialize in fewer categories, you'll get a bigger benefit from those categories you are in. From what I can tell about Blue Bin Dumpsters, they only do dumpster rentals. It doesn't look like they're doing junk removal or debris removal. So I think it's probably best to just be in that one category, but it's not going to make a big difference. It also looks like Bailey has completed all the information that Google lets you add to your Google business profile, which is great. He's also added some images. Images probably don't help with ranking, but they do help with conversions. So good job there, Bailey. Overall, for Google Business Profile, I'm going to give you an A. You don't quite get the S tier until you add rentals to the end of your title. Next up, customer reviews. Now, when talking about customer reviews, it's not just reviews on your Google Business Profile. Reviews from any legitimate website online can help you rank. However, reviews on your Google Business Profile are the most valuable, so let's go ahead and look at those. He has 195 reviews on his main listing with a 5.0 rating. That is fantastic. Looking at his second listing, we're only at 2. Now, I would focus really heavily here because Google doesn't seem to trust listings until you get to about 10 reviews. And then again, at around 100, it seems to get another bump. After 100, getting more reviews still helps, but it's not going to make nearly as big of a difference. So getting to those first 10 is crucial. It's also great that you have a 5.0 on both. However, anything above a 4.5 is about as good as a 5.0. People don't expect you to have perfect reviews, so don't worry about a few negative ones. So for customer reviews, I'm going to go ahead and give you a B. Really, one of your listings gets an S and the other one gets a D, and we're just averaging it out, but I really would focus on prioritizing reviews on your second listing. Now, before we move on to his website, let's go ahead and see how Blue Bin Dumpsters is actually ranking in Google Maps right now. So that's what we have pulled up. Each of these nodes here shows where they're ranking in Google Maps based on where the searcher is standing within Salt Lake City. This is for his secondary listing, and it's for the search term dumpster rental. And as you can see, they're an average rank of 13.4, which isn't great. But keep in mind, this is the second listing with only 2 reviews, and it is a newer listing. So this actually isn't too bad. It's what to be expected. When we look at the companies that are outranking them, as you can see, they all have more reviews than this listing by Bluebin. You might also notice, though, that they're not listed in order of reviews. Reviews are not everything. They're just one factor. Again, we're looking at all the factors and trying to identify the weakest links. So for this listing specifically, reviews should be the focus. Now, if we look at their main listing, it's a very different story. As you can see, instead of 13 point whatever, we're at an average 5.9 here. And if you look at the map, you can see their rank 1 right around their shop. And then as you get away, it starts to drop off. This is a very normal pattern. As I was saying before, Google cares a lot about proximity. They want to show businesses that are close to the searcher. So you're always going to have a much easier time ranking right around your location. Now, if we look at the competitors that are outranking them here, we can see that the top one is doing what I was talking about before and putting search terms in their title. They have Salt Lake in there, they have dumpster rentals in there in addition to their name. They're doing it pretty egregiously, but this does help. It's also worth noting that both of the competitors outranking them have a lot more links, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Now, unlike most businesses, Bluebin really only has one keyword. It's just dumpster rentals. There's junk removal and a few others, but it doesn't seem like they do that. It seems like whenever someone wants this service, they just type dumpster rental. So that does make keyword research a lot easier. But there are a few variants that we should consider, like dumpster rental near me and dumpster rental Salt Lake City. These are also common searches. So let's go ahead and look at Salt Lake City first. Now, why would the rankings be different just because the searcher included Salt Lake City? Well, typically this tells Google that I'm less concerned about proximity. You don't need to show one that's right near me. Just give me a business somewhere in the Salt Lake City area. And now, as you can see from this map, proximity matters a lot less. What does matter suddenly is your proximity to the center of the city. So let's go ahead and see who's ranking number 1 here. Same Day Dumpster. Let's see where they're located. And big surprise, they're located right next to the center of Salt Lake City. So this is an advantage they have just by stint of their location. It's something you might be able to consider when you're founding your business or when you're moving to a new location. But unfortunately, for most businesses, it's something that you just don't have control over once you have a building. And as you can see, this location is really paying off for Same Day Dumpster. They're rank 1 almost across all of Salt Lake City. And of course, the other trend we're seeing here is that a lot of the businesses have Salt Lake in the name of their business, which will also help. And then really quick, let's look at dumpster rental near me. Of course, this is going to have the opposite effect of having the city name in the title. It's going to overemphasize proximity. And now they're really ranking well around their location, but it drops off much more quickly as they get further away from it. All right, it's now time to move on to the orange links. The orange links are the on-page factors, which means we'll be looking at their website, starting with page structure. So of course, page structure could mean a lot of things, but from an SEO point of view, there's really just a few things that matter. The first is going to be your headings. So this is what's called an H1. It's the main heading on your page. And then as we scroll throughout, we'll see what are called H2s, H3s, H4s. But these are the headings that help both users and Google understand the content of the page. And this structure and the words that you use in here are very important for ranking. course, the most important heading is your H1, and Bailey has done exactly the right thing from an SEO point of view. He's put his main search term right there in the H1. Now, after your H1, your other headings are just going to be describing the content on your page using terms that someone might type into Google when looking for that content. So, for example, if you have a section on pricing, you want to think, what would someone type into Google when they're looking for the pricing of this service? So getting something like dumpster rental pricing in this H2 could help a lot. Also, this is just an image. While Google can understand images pretty well, it would be better if it was text because that's much easier for search engines to understand. Moving down, I like this H2 a lot more. Few dumpsters availability today. You might want to get something in there like dumpster availability, something that's a little bit closer to how people search, but Google can typically understand synonyms just fine. And then you move on to residential dumpster rental and commercial dumpster rental. This is perfect. Now, Bailey only has one service, but most businesses will have multiple services, and it's very important that you highlight each service on your homepage, because the second part of page structure that we look at are internal links. We want to make sure that whenever we talk about a topic that our website covers, we link from the word someone would search when looking for that topic to the page that covers that topic. And the most important links come from the homepage. This is because Google looks at how pages link to each other to understand which page is most important for each specific keyword, and links from the homepage carry the most weight. If you're putting it on your homepage, it must be important. So all your main service pages should be featured on your homepage, and Bailey has done a great job here. Overall, while there are some areas for improvement, I would give Bailey an A for page structure. I don't think it's one of his major issues. Let's go ahead and move on to search targeted pages. So what do I mean by search targeted pages? Well, your page should have a high quality website targeting each search term someone might use when looking for your services. Now, you don't need 2 pages for terms that are synonymous, but you do want a page for every modifier that could apply to your services. So what do I mean by modifier? Well, let's take Bailey here. As I previously said, he just does dumpster rentals, except that I just realized you also do junk removal, Bailey. So I'm so sorry I missed that before. 2 services, dumpster rentals and junk removal. However, he also has a page for residential dumpster removal and for commercial dumpster removal. So these are what I would call modifiers, residential and commercial, because people sometimes search that way, and it makes sense to have a separate page just talking about residential and commercial. But you can go further there, and actually Bailey has, if you look in his footer, he also has pages for different cities in Utah. Alta dumpster rental. And let's see what else we got. South Jordan, Riverton, Sandy, Holiday. So these are what we would call service area pages. They're going to be pages that look just like your home page or the main service page, but they're optimized for that specific area. And you're going to have very similar content to what you would have on a service page, but then also anything that's specifically relevant to that area. So maybe how far away you are from that area. Maybe highlight some of the work you've done in that area or testimonials from that area. If there's questions that specifically apply to that area, answer them here. However, a lot of the content is just going to be rewritten from your main service page. I wouldn't recommend copy and pasting the content over. If it's too similar, Google will see them as duplicates and they won't rank those service area pages. So you can use something like ChatGPT to take your content and rewrite it, and then make sure you're adding something that's valuable to someone who's in that area. And really quickly on that, Bailey was kind enough to give me access to his Google Search Console, which shows traffic coming straight from Google Search. And we can see how effective these location pages are. So the first thing I like to do when looking at Google Search Console data is to filter out branded search. And that means anyone looking specifically for your company. So what I've done is I've added a filter that shows only queries that don't contain the word blue. Because anytime a query contains blue, they're probably looking for blue bin dumpster. They're going to rank number 1 for that term no matter what. So that has nothing to do with SEO. We want to look at their traffic when people are actually looking for their services. Now we could see what people are typing. Of course, it's pretty much all just dumpster rental. But then we can look at the pages that rank here, and we can see that after the home page, which is typically going to be first, after that, it's all of his location pages. So these are working really well for him, and this is what we're seeing with all of our own clients as well. These service area pages work so well, and any other modifier that's searched for regularly. And that's the power of having a dedicated page for each search term someone uses when looking for your services. So for search targeted pages, I am giving Bailey S tier. Congratulations, your first S. The only thing I would say here is keep making them. You can always make more pages. Actually, one disclaimer in that regard. Don't make these at scale. Don't make thousands of these pages. If Google feels like you're using AI to make pages at scale that add little value, you could get a site-wide penalty. So make a reasonable amount of pages. But as far as I've seen, it's very rare that a local service business would make so many pages as to trigger that penalty by Google. So next up is content quality. And we're going to make this really simple. You evaluate content quality on a page-by-page basis. So pick a page. Think of what a searcher is going to type into Google before landing on this page. So if we're looking at the home page, someone might be typing in something like Salt Lake City dumpster rental. And then think about all the things a searcher might want to see on the page before taking the next step, which for a local service business is usually going to be giving you a call, filling out a form. Make sure all that information is on the page and it's easy to find. We already talked about headings and the importance of those, but you want to make sure, of course, pricing is on there. You want to make sure that all your options are on there. Testimonials can be very helpful. Of course, easy ways to contact the company, information about the company, maybe with a link to the About page. And then, of course, anything else that might help the customer make a decision. I think overall, Bailey's doing a really good job here. He has the 3 easy steps to rent a dumpster, makes it really easy for them to understand what they do, what they charge, and how to get started. If you're interested in a longer video where I go over everything you should put on a homepage and a service page, just let me know. I'd be happy to make that. So in terms of content quality, I'm actually going to give Bailey another S tier. And you might be thinking, I don't feel like that was S tier quality. But the thing is, in terms of the content on the page, I don't think improving the quality there is going to help at all with rankings. He's done what he needs to be competitive with anyone in his area. And what you're thinking of as quality, I'm going to categorize as our next factor, which is user experience. So user experience at first glance might not sound like an SEO factor, but as Google gets smarter, it becomes more and more of a factor. We now know that Google monitors searchers' behaviors once they land on the website, and they have ways of detecting if a website satisfied their needs, like how long they stayed on the website, how much they scrolled, if they went back and did another search or clicked on another result. And all those factors stem from the user experience on your website. So essentially, you want to make it as easy as possible for the searcher to find the information they're looking for. We talked about some things you need to do about having the content on the website and having good headings, but it's also just about having a clean, easy to navigate, nice looking professional website. And this is of course also important for branding, which could indirectly help with ranking. But overall, I would say there's some work to be done here, and maybe you'd agree, especially on the homepage. I think some of the service pages look a little bit better, but I think this banner here could be nicer. I love that there's a video on here, but I think it could be laid out better if we had it to the side with some text or bullet points or graphics on the other side. Again, if this was a nice text section that was responsive, I think a website redesign could really help Bailey here. So overall, for a local service business, it's not bad, but there could be some big improvements. So we're going to give him B tier. All right, we're done looking at the website. Overall, A+ there, Bailey. Let's talk about a few more off-site factors, starting with local citations. So if you haven't heard of citations, these are just a mention of your business name, address, and phone number, usually a website as well, somewhere on the internet. So these are mostly going to be found in business directories. And here we have BrightLocal's citation tracker pulled up. And this tracks which of the major business directories your Google can be found in. You can see BrightLocal gives this location a 16 out of 100. It gives the other location 4 out of 100. I think it's fine to just be building citations to one of the locations. So let's just go ahead and look at this one. But as you can see, Blue Bin Dumpsters is missing from a lot of directories. So I would recommend getting into these. Now, why do you want to be in these directories? It's not so much that people use these directories. They do occasionally, but for the most part, people go to Google. And that's why we want to be in the directories. Google's going to be looking around the internet to see if other websites that they trust are mentioning your brand. And directories are one of those places. So just having your business information in the major directories can help you rank higher in Google. And a service like BrightLocal can get you in each listing for about $2. One more point on this, Apple Maps historically has not been super important, but Apple's really pushing this Apple Business Connect right now. They might end up building their own search engine, so I definitely recommend getting into Apple Business Connect and getting your business listed there. So after reviewing them, I'm going to put Bailey's local citations in the C tier. Sorry, Bailey. They're not terrible, but they're not great. And I would say that's your number one priority right now is getting more citations. But there's still one factor left. So let's go ahead and look at backlinks and mentions. So if you're not familiar with backlinks, this is just when another website on the internet links to your website. It's one of Google's primary ranking factors. However, they're trying to make it less of a factor. They don't want to rely on it as much as they have so far, but it's one of the few ways that they can tell if a Google is actually trusted across the internet. Now, the reason Google wants to get away from backlinks as a ranking factor is because it's gameable. People can go out there and build their own backlinks and trick Google into thinking that they're trustworthy. Now, this used to be really easy to do, but nowadays Google's much more sophisticated, and typically only high-quality backlinks are going to help you rank. This is Ahrefs' backlink tool. It shows all the links that are pointing to blue bin dumpsters. However, we don't care about all links. As you can see, a lot of these are just SEO link farms that are linking to blue bin just to show up in these reports and advertise their services. What we care about are links from websites that Google actually trusts. So let's go ahead and put some filters on. The most important being domain traffic. If this website isn't getting at least, let's say, 100 visits a month from Google, there's a good chance that Google does not trust the website and therefore is not going to care about a link from it. And then we also care about the authority of the website. This is how many other links are pointing to that website. If no one's linking to this website, Google probably doesn't trust it either. So let's go ahead and put on a minimum of 20. So that brings us from 40 links to 14. However, 14 links for a small local business that only opened less than a year ago is not bad. And if you look through here, there's actually some decent links. There's some directories that they've gotten themselves in outside of the major ones. Most industries will have industry-specific directories. There's also city-specific directories. These are typically pretty easy to get in and can help a lot. Now, it looks like, unfortunately, some of these best links have been removed, and I'm not sure why that is. They also did a press release which went out. I don't recommend doing press releases. Google typically ignores these, but there were a few that I found that look like they came from legitimate publications talking about the business with a link back. So those are worth getting, and as a local business, just getting a few of these can help a lot. I found that most business owners have existing relationships with website owners that they're not even thinking about. And if they could just ask for a link, they could build 5 or 10 other links. So I have a whole process I go through. If you'd like me to do a video on that process, just let me know. So for the final ranking factor, backlinks and mentions, I'm going to put in the B category. I think Bailey's actually doing pretty good for a small business. It's not a lot of links. Building more would help, but I don't think it's the primary thing keeping you from ranking. I think your priority right now should be local citations and then probably customer reviews on that one profile. But otherwise, you're less than a year old. You're actually ranking pretty well given that fact. As your business grows, you will naturally rank higher. If you would like me to do the same for your business, leave a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe.